Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with another Serum tutorial for ADSRsounds.com. First, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please sign up at youtube.com/ADSRtuts, that's T-U-T-S. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a very popular kind of pulse sounding EDM progressive style lead. Zed uses it a lot, 3Loud, tons of DJs and producers are using it, so I thought I'd show you how to make it inside of Serum. It's quite simple. So let's load up a new instance of Serum. There we go. And what we're going to do is I've included the wavetable, so you can just download it and pop it into Serum. This tutorial will get a lot longer if I showed you how to create it, but essentially what I did was I went to the wavetable editor, I selected a single, I did a square, and then I started to rough things up using these waves. Well, to get a more precise recreation of the sound, let's just use the wavetable that I've included. So download it from the description if you'd like, and then go to Menu and go to Show Serum Presets folder. Click on Table, click on User, drag it into your user, and then it will show up when you navigate to your user wavetables, and it's called Edge Pulse, and it looks like this. All right, so let's keep working in the first oscillator. So for the wavetable position, I'm going to turn it to about 110, I think. All right, and let's activate a warp mode. We're going to do the pulse width modulation, and that will just help make it sound more of a kind of a pulse and a kind of a square tone. And the detune, voices, all that, we're going to keep where it is, and I'm not going to mess with the random or level at all. Now let's go to our noise oscillator and add a little bit of high frequency content to the sound. I'm going to click on the drop down menu and go to analog and type alpha and Z, and I'll solo that. That's what it sounds like. So with the oscillator, there's what we have. All right, now I'm going to kind of work this top gray section and then go to the envelopes and LFOs. So it's just a one oscillator sound. Let's go to the filter, activate it, go to the multi, and we're going to select LH12, which stands for low pass and high pass with 12 stages in them. So I'm going to make sure my noise is being routed into the filter by clicking this little box by the N. I don't want the noise to run freely because it would be too much high frequency content for this style of sound, but for the cutoff rate, we're going to turn this to about 230 hertz-ish, I think. Let's see how that sounds. Actually, let's do 274. It's going to kill a good amount of the sound, but I'm going to bring it back in modulating with an LFO. I'm going to turn the resonance up a little as well. All right, so that is the filter. Now I'm going to go out of order here, but I'm going to go to my effects tab. Like I said, I was just going to do these envelopes and everything last. I'm going to turn on, there's a lot of effects with the sound, which is why I'm going here first. I'm going to turn on the hyper, dimension, the distortion, and we're ultimately going to turn on the coarse, delay, reverb, EQ, compressor a lot. So with the hyper and dimension, I'm essentially just using the dimension expander. So turn down the hyper because that adds voices of detune and unison, which I don't really want for this. And with the dimension, turn the size down to about 10%. And then the mix, we're going to turn down from, or turn up to about 30%. Just adding some stereo width. Now with the distortion, I'm going to select diode 2. And we're going to select, for the EQ type, we're going to activate pre. And then we're going to kind of keep this where it is, but we're going to turn up. So you should see 329 here, which will in this little box, which will be determined on where this is left or right. So get close to 329 if you can. And then this other one you should see 5.4 which is the vertical height. So there's 324 and 5.9, which is pretty darn close. And then make sure it's selected on low pass. And now with the drive, I'm going to turn it down. Actually, I'm going to turn it up, sorry. And the mix, we're going to turn this down just to about, I think about 5%. So with this on, off, it's just dirtying it up a pinch, and we're going to modulate that a little bit later. But now let's go to the coarse, and I'm using this coarse to, again, thicken the stereo field. Now in the coarse, I'm going to keep the rate where it is. I'm going to make sure the BPM remains unchecked because I want this running free. The delay, I'm going to keep at about 5 milliseconds for delay 1. Delay 2, we're going to do about 1.1 milliseconds or around there. The depth, keep where it is. The frequency, I'm going to keep where it is as well because I like how it sounds. And for the low pass, I'm going to turn this up all the way to open that up and turn my mix down a little. All right, and now let's activate the reverb, and I'm going to drag it up and have that happen under the coarse. And for the size, I'm going to keep it where it is. The pre-delay, this is all stuff you can do to taste. This won't make or break the sound. I'm going to turn the mix down though. All right, and then activate the compressor, and I'm going to have the compressor happen before the delay, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But with the compressor here, we're using this to add a little bit of snap and pop to it. I'm actually going to get the EQ in there first. So let's keep doing the compressor settings. So for the threshold on the compressor, I'm going to keep it in the middle at 50%. The ratio, keep at 4:1, which it should be by default. The attack, keep where it is. The release, keep where it is. The gain, keep where it is. So it's just a slight amount of compression. And now let's double back to this EQ. And with this, I'm going to turn this frequency up here on this first knob. And we're going to do about 340 hertz. And select low pass. And with the Q here, we're going to turn it down to about halfway. And the gain, we're going to turn down a little bit too. So we're taking out some of the low frequencies. And I'm going to add a little bit of the highs back in. And that's really it. Finally, let's just turn on the delay. And this is something to taste. And the reason why I'm having this happen after the compressor is because if I use a sidechain compression or LFO tool effect, I actually like having the delay happen after the compression in a synth because it gives it more for the sidechain to grab. All right, so there are the effects and the bare bones of this sound. Let's actually get to creating the envelopes, which are very important to the sound. So let's go to the first envelope, which will be tied to the output of Serum by default, and turn the attack all the way down because we want this to be snappy, so it kind of hits through those claps and the bass. The hold, keep at 0 milliseconds. The decay, I'm going to turn down to about 958 milliseconds. The sustain, down to about -8 or -9. And now I'm going to turn the release up to about 469. All right, let's go to our second envelope now, and we're going to create a custom shape to modulate the filter and kind of open this sound back up. So with this, what I'm going to do is have the attack at 0.5 milliseconds, the decay at 0. I'm going to turn this up to 1.113, so just a little bit of a bump, not a whole lot. Or 1.116 will do. I'm going to turn the sustain down a lot because we don't want this filter that we're going to modulate to be too open. I'm going to turn it down to about 22%. And then turn the release up to about 260 something. So to get an effect on the sound, we have to modulate. So let's modulate the cutoff filter. To about 44 for the modulation depth. All right, now let's go to our third envelope and create an interesting shape with this. We're going to use to modulate two destinations. So turn the attack all the way in. Actually, sorry, keep it at about 0.5 rather. And make sure the hold, we're going to turn the hold up to about 0.8 or around there. Now turn the decay down to about 9 point something milliseconds or as close as you can get. Crank the sustain down to 0. And then the release, turn the release up to about 296 milliseconds. So you get this little bar down here. Well, now I'm going to take this and modulate the coarse pitch of my first oscillator. So this will drastically change the sound right now. It lowered everything. That's because this is modulating in a both positive and negative fashion or depth. Well, I want it to just be positive to add some high frequency content. So if you hold Shift and Alt and click, it'll now just be positive or one direction. So let's take that all the way up to about 31. adding some cool snap to the sound. And let's double back to our effects real quick, because I believe I modulated, I modulated the distortion with this. So let's take this and modulate here, and we're gonna do the same thing, Shift Alt, and have this be a positive fashion only. And drag that all the way up to 100, and you get a little bit brighter sound. And finally, we're going to use, you can use any LFO, I guess, but I'm going to use the second LFO, and we're going to modulate just one parameter with this. So keep it on the shape that it is. Turn the rate down to a bar, though. And then you're going to take this and modulate the pulse width modulation depth on the warp mode. And I'm going to turn this to about 34 for the depth. And that will pretty much be the sound. I'm going to turn the noise up a little. But there you go. It's kind of that Z3 low, really popular style pulse width or square style sound in Serum. It's pretty easy to make, and to get it a little bit brighter, a little bit snappier, I can mess with the compression now. All right, cool. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't been to ADSRsounds.com, head on over there. Tons of cool things, synth and production related. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.